The top 10 games for PlayStation 5 in 2023. Number 10, Resident Evil Village. Resident Evil has never shied away from the mystical and supernatural, and Village leans into those themes more than any entry in the series to date. From severed hands that can just be simply reattached, to floating killer dolls, to 9-foot-tall lady vampires, Resident Evil Village feels like wandering through a demented circus. In one fell swoop, it gave us what will go on to become one of the most recognizable Resi villains ever, Lady Dimitrescu, while still respecting the main antagonist story that began in Resident Evil 7. It brings the series back to its Metroidvania roots, requiring you to revisit areas seen several times throughout your playthrough, but with new tools at your disposal to explore them. It's by far the most fantastical the series has ever gotten, and it remains to be seen whether or not Resident Evil will ever return to its more straightforward zombie roots, or at this point, if we'd even want it to. Capcom has since released story DLC for Village called Shadows of Rose, and Resident Evil 4 Remake is available now. Number 9, Astro's Playroom. The DualSense controller is one of the most defining characteristics of the PS5, as the nuanced haptic feedback and strategically used adaptive triggers create a level of immersion that feels genuinely special. Nowhere is the tech better showcased than in Astro's Playroom, which is, quite literally, designed to show off the capabilities of the DualSense controller. But this would-be tech demo is also a fantastic game in its own right, with a delightful set of worlds to explore that all celebrate a different facet of the PS5 and the different eras of PlayStation software and hardware. Astro's Playroom reminds players why they've loved PlayStation while giving them a reason to fall in love all over again. Its solid platforming, fun environmental puzzles, and enticing set of collectibles will have you gunning for the platinum and getting it in no time. Developer Team Asobi is now working on its biggest game to date. Studio director Nicolas Doucet said it will be a full commercial title that's not limited by any money or time. Number 8, Returnal. Returnal is a trailblazer of sorts. Roguelikes have long been one of the most popular genres on the indie scene, with games like Spelunky 2, Dead Cells, Enter the Gungeon, and The Binding of Isaac leading the charge, but in the AAA space, we've never really seen anything quite like Returnal. Returnal combines Housemarque's expertise in intense, bullet hell, arcadey shoot 'em ups, with deep roguelike mechanics and a dense, chilling atmosphere, resulting in unforgettable experiences. Returnal's one issue on release was the inability to suspend its lengthy runs and save your progress, but since that's been patched, it's hard to find flaws in this incredibly bold and ambitious take on the AAA roguelike. The PC port for Returnal is available now.
I think I am reliving my memories in that house, but not fully. They're corroded.
Number 7, Horizon Forbidden West. Horizon Forbidden West builds on the already impressive foundations of Horizon Zero Dawn to tell a deeper, more thrilling story that amps up the series' explosive fights against complex robotic foes and blockbuster action sequences, while also adding lively settlements and thoughtful, intriguing side quests to the world. The Forbidden West itself is absolutely gorgeous on PS5, ranging from the incredibly detailed faces of the people you meet and costumes they wear to sweeping and frequently stunning landscapes. There's a genuine sense of exploration, and loads of completely involving world-building to uncover as well for those wanting to learn more. A triumphant combination of enthralling combat, top-tier creature and character design, and a captivating open world, Horizon Forbidden West is an absolute blast and fantastic showcase for the power of the PS5. Horizon Forbidden West, Burning Shores, the game's first DLC, was revealed during the Game Awards. Coming exclusively to the PS5 version of Forbidden West, Burning Shores takes Aloy to the LA region in pursuit of a sinister threat. Number 6, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. As Insomniac's first truly exclusive PS5 game, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart is a stunning showcase for what Sony's next-gen console can do, thanks to a series practically built to take advantage of all the new bells and whistles. Whether you're a newcomer to the duo's adventures or a longtime fan since the PS2 days, there's charm aplenty to be found in returning characters, and brand new ones like the incredible Rivet and Kit. The delightful, and surprisingly emotional story, is at the core of a theme park ride-like adventure through a host of varied alien worlds, which are stunningly realized in both depth and clarity of detail while running so smoothly on the PS5. And Rift Apart includes one of the franchise's best suite of weapons, from the wacky topiary sprinkler to the powerful executor, all of which make great use of both the DualSense haptics and adaptive triggers. Ratchet and Clank may be one of the longest-running Sony franchises still seeing new entries, but if Rift Apart is any indication, there's still so much life, humor, and dazzling action left to experience. Number 5. Demon's Souls. Bluepoint Games had some high expectations to meet with the PS5 remake of Demon's Souls. Not only was it an anticipated remake of a beloved and landmark game, but also as the first major showcase of what a dedicated PS5 game of this scope could look like. Fortunately, Bluepoint delivered, and Demon's Souls is not only jaw-droppingly gorgeous, but it's also incredibly faithful to the source material. It's handily one of the deepest, richest, and most challenging experiences currently found on the console. Developer Bluepoint Games was officially acquired by PlayStation in 2021. The studio's next project will be an original game, rather than another remake. Number 4. Spider-Man: Miles Morales. Though not a full-blown sequel, this standalone expansion sends Peter Parker on vacation and leaves his young spider apprentice Miles Morales to look after New York. Building on the rock-solid foundations of Insomniac's first game, New York has been gorgeously blanketed with snow, holiday cheer, and next-gen polish. The improvements aren't just cosmetic, however. The eponymous hero has a few more spider powers at his disposal than Peter Parker, and these are cleverly adapted into new gameplay mechanics that, while they don't reinvent the wheel, they put enough of a spin on it to make it feel fresh, sometimes literally, thanks to the DualSense controller. It doesn't feature as robust of a campaign or as many colorful villains as 2018's Spider-Man, but Miles Morales' story has just as much charm and heart as its predecessor, possibly more. Its tagline of "Be Greater" set a high bar, but Miles Morales somersaults over it with ease. And if you're loving Miles Morales but somehow missed out on or want to replay its predecessor, there's no reason not to get the Ultimate Edition and pick up Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered as well. We previously had MSMR as a standalone game on this list because it was such a great port, but considering the breadth of games we want to now highlight on the PS5, and its availability only as a part of Miles' Special Edition, we decided to couple it with our recommendation here. Insomniac is now working on 2 Marvel projects, Spider-Man 2 and a Wolverine game.
So they could be using it under the table. I'll follow up on it. So, you mentioned your brother.
Number 3. The Last of Us Part 1. The Last of Us Part 1 is arguably the best way to experience the story Naughty Dog was initially told back in 2013. While there is a point of contention on whether this remake was necessary overall, the improvements and changes introduced are enough to warrant this as a great first way to experience this decade-old franchise. The improved character models and facial animation are the biggest praises for this remake, making the phenomenal acting done by the cast more meaningful and realistic. The Last of Us has an incredible and emotional story, and the updated technology allows even the most touching scenes to hit the closest to home. The utilization of the PS5's DualSense controller also greatly improves the core gameplay and is some of the best showcases of what the controller is capable of to date. The haptic feedback you can feel in every weapon used, from melee to firearms, and the fact that environmental effects such as the sensation of falling rain immerse you into this ravaged and desolated world. Not only that, but the DualSense features also have been a great tool in accessibility, using the controller's haptic feedback to allow players to feel everything they encounter, whether through physical interaction or hearing it, such as in dialogue exchanges. While the remake does not include the multiplayer mode found in 2013 original, and the remastered version was ported just a year later, we know that Naughty Dog is working on a standalone multiplayer game set in the Last of Us universe. Number 2. God of War Ragnorok. God of War Ragnorok is hands down one of the easiest games to recommend to anyone asking what game they should play first on their PS5. The gameplay is an immensely satisfying combination of combat, puzzle solving, and exploration that is bound together with a heartwarming story of family, adolescence, and letting go. The combat rewards players for experimentation and precision but also is versatile enough that even using a fraction of the moves at your disposal feels effective and rewarding. Each moment is bolstered by its fantastic soundtrack that elevates everything from the smallest interaction to the most impactful moments in the story. The world's jaw-dropping landscapes feel organic and filled with life, except for Helheim, of course, but it's hard not to stop and admire it every step. Its story, gameplay, soundtrack, and nearly every other part of the game culminate masterfully to live up to expectations for a flagship PlayStation game. Some may take issue with the pacing in certain parts of the game, but the next chapter in Kratos and Atreus' saga is filled with heart, charm, and humor. With the combination of the improvements from God of War 2018 and the path it's carved out for itself among other action-adventure games, God of War Ragnorok is one of the new benchmarks for what PlayStation exclusives can do on the PS5. Number 1. Elden Ring. It's hard to encapsulate everything that makes Elden Ring such a monumental game in a short blurb, but let's try. At the core of it all is Elden Ring's incredible sense of freedom and discovery. There are open-world games that are bigger than Elden Ring, prettier than Elden Ring, and quite frankly run better than Elden Ring, but few, if any, are as robust or as rewarding. The lands between is positively littered with branching paths that lead to catacombs, dungeons, caves, forts, castles, towers, even entire underground cities, and within each of them is some sort of unique challenge, from a trap-filled crypt with insta-kill chariots racing down every slope, to one of Elden Ring's many fantastic boss fights. The best part of it all is that every challenge comes with its own bountiful reward that may bend the difficulty curve in your favor, whether that's a new spell, summon, weapon, or material that lets you upgrade your gear. Elden Ring can be an extraordinarily difficult game, sure, but the freedom it gives you to maneuver through or around that difficulty is absolutely liberating, and makes it the most universally recommendable from software game yet. Elden Ring is one of the best reviewed games in modern history. It was crowned Game of the Year by IGN and the Game Awards.